What is up, YouTube? Live via satellite here, and today guys we are talking Kingdom. In particular guys, today I wanted to discuss whether or not Mouten just gave us a little hint about what Kanki'S weakness could possibly be. But before we jump into that guys, if you're new here, click the subscribe button because we talk a lot about Kingdom, and if you like the video, it really helps out if you like the video. So guys, these last few chapters of Kingdom have been very interesting. I love everything that's going on with Ohan. I'm trying to figure out what Kanki'S actually up to. And I plan to talk a lot about those things in the future. And with the anime now back, I even want to set some time aside to discuss that. But right now, with the Kanki hype train picking up speed, I thought it only right that we discuss Kanki. And I kind of think that Osun alongside with Mouten have just revealed what kind of general Kanki actually is. And I think that's tremendously important because once you know what type of general you're dealing with, it's easier to discern their strengths and weaknesses. Now, before we jump into this, quick disclaimer, I actually attempted to do this before. I did it like 3 years ago, but that video is dead wrong because for some reason I completely forgot to account for the fact that not only did Riboku know Kanki's weakness, but Keisha did too. But the reason I still do kind of like the video is because I think it highlights some reasons that Kanki may become a villain in the future, so I think it still has some pretty good value. But in this video, I'm not gonna lie guys, I feel pretty certain that this is Kanki's weakness, but if I'm wrong, I still thought this was a very interesting concept to discuss. And if nothing else, it will at least be entertaining. So now that we've wasted enough time, let's just jump into everything, right? Okay, so in chapter 676, we see that Denrimi is coming up what he thinks Kanki's plan is probably gonna be. But when they try to confirm it with Osun, Osun simply says that he's not sure yet. Then he says something extremely interesting about Kanki, which is that he's like no other man and that his thoughts even elude him. Now this actually started to give me a hunch about what type of general Kanki could actually be, but in the next chapter, to me, Mouten all but confirms it. When he says that Kanki isn't what I'd call a meticulous strategist, he uses his instinct to fight. And with those few words, we finally learn what type of general Kanki is. He's an instinctual general. Which explains to me why someone like Osun, who is a meticulous strategist, has a difficult time figuring out what Kanki's up to. But the important thing is, now we know that Kanki is instinctual, and by Riboku's definition, there were two different types of instinctual generals. Back in chapter 274, Riboku says that all instinctual generals are not the warrior types like Dukyo, and he compares the Duke to the type that's like a prowling lion that pounces on its prey. But then says that others, such as Keisha, can be likened to spiders that lay down subtle traps and wait for their prey to come charging into the trap of their own accord. And here's where things get really interesting, people, because if you had to choose what type of instinctual general that Kanki would be, would you see him as the ferocious lion or would you see him as the subtle spider? And yes, that's correct. I can hear you all saying it. Kanki would definitely be a spider. So let's put it all together here. In horror, I'm telling you, if this stuff is true, you are an absolute genius. When back during Kokyo Hills, when Kanki was able to lure Keisha out onto the battlefield and almost take his head had it not been for Kishui. The reason that Keisha is able to say that he now knows Kanki's weakness is simply because Keisha has the exact same weakness. When Keisha sees Kanki, it's like looking in the mirror. They are the same type of instinctual general. So for instance, when we have someone like Shin versus Gyun, that's almost like lion type versus lion type, right? But when we have someone like Keisha versus Kanki, it's like spider versus spider. And it's so crazy because we've had hints all along, even during that same battle, when Kanki thought he had Keisha and he says, "Burn this sight into your eyes as you die, Keisha." The view that you see in front of you now, that is what it feels like to be hunted. And honestly, when you first read it, you kind of just see it as Kanki being Kanki and kind of mocking Keisha. But looking back at it now, it actually makes perfect sense because Kanki was actually using his instinctual ability to hunt Keisha. And it's here where it becomes even easier to realize what Kanki's weakness is, and why it makes 100% perfect sense for Riboku to know it, is because we've already seen him explain this weakness in full detail to Kinmo. And we actually see Kinmo flashing back on these comments when he realizes that Keisha has been outplayed by Kanki. And Raboku said to Kinmo that even for him, defeating Keisha in a live battle was no easy task. The reason being is that Keisha's specialty comes down to sitting in the web he weaves, waiting for the enemy to make that one crucial mistake that will cost him the battle. The only way of besting him is to somehow make him leave that web which he hides in. In essence, you must take heed of this, Deputy Kinmo. Should there ever arrive a time where Keisha leaves his web, then even Keisha may find himself having made the mistake of his life. So if we're right and Kanki and Keisha are the exact same type of general, then they should share the exact same weakness. And that weakness is to somehow get them to leave their web. And I don't know, man, if this winds up being true, Horror is just completely on a whole nother level. He hid this in plain sight. I don't know how long people have been debating about what Kanki's weakness possibly is, but this would have been so simple and so crazy at the same time. But I'm really interested to see what you guys think about this idea. Do you guys think that this could possibly be Kanki's weakness? I mean, it makes a whole lot of sense to me, but hey, you never know. But anyway, guys, that about does it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and feel free to share, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.